Scott. This week we're pulling out our Nintendo Switches and we're checking out a pretty cool artistic game called Blanc. This one, I wasn't actually sure what to expect coming into this. We heard we were going to get a bit of a shorter playthrough. This isn't a very long game. You play it for about 2 to 4 hours, depending on, kind of how much trouble you may have with some of the puzzles in this game. But just kind of right off the bat, the story here is we're following a young deer and a young wolf, and it seems to be some sort of terrible winter storm. And they are trying to make it back to their families, and to be able to do that, they have to work together to try to survive this kind of, winter tundra that they're traveling through. And, we don't get any voiceovers. We're just getting music and some kind of cutesy animal sounds every once in a while in this. And honestly, Scott, I was pleasantly surprised. My playthrough of Blanc has been enjoyable. I like the way they laid this out. I like the art style. The audio is just kind of something that carries you through. They pick very good music to kind of set the tone in the environment depending on where you are in this story. But I don't want to give away too much here because, like I said, it isn't a long playthrough, so I want to get your opinion on what your thoughts were about Blanc.
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away here because it is quite a short experience. I think I played this in just about one big sitting. It was a little bit of an extra long sitting, but it was over with nonetheless. And this kind of gameplay element looks a lot like something I've seen in Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, where you're controlling each character with each thumbstick. You have a button to jump and interact, and that's just about it. It is really basic that way. But that works for that style of game. Unlike Brothers, this is a bit of a Newfoundland winter, it looks like, because at times there's houses buried in the snow, and you're just trying to get through from point A to B, and it's very simplified, but I think that's where the beauty in this game really lies. There's not a whole lot of hardship. You're not really strung up on too many of the puzzles, although some of them will get you as you get later on in the game. Ooh, had to take a walk once, but the game really leads with that narrative, but it's a silent narrative. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around until you get in and play on it, but once you do get in, you get this kind of cute story, and it progresses in a way that makes a lot of sense. You go through a lot of different environments, and there's even some friends to be made along the way.
Yeah, they did a good job at just kind of presenting this game as a whole. It's $20 on the Nintendo eShop. You can also get it on Steam as well for $20. I think the price is a little high for what we're getting here, but at the same time, this is a fun experience that you can play co-op, and I think that's where this game really does shine, because when you play it co-op, you don't have to worry about controlling both characters by yourself, as if you were playing in solo mode, where you're using the left stick and the left bumper and trigger for one character, and then the same for the right. That gets a little confusing at first, but if you do play solo, you do tend to get used to it as you play through this. But, like I said, naturally, co-op is where this game shines, and if you do enjoy this kind of playthrough / experience, I think I'd like to call this one, because it feels like you're playing through a bit of a story here, somewhat of a kind of a novel experience, and I just really enjoyed that. They nailed it here. It was just one of those things where I like where they were heading with it, the direction of this game, but it just really, there isn't a ton here, so I just feel like it's going to be split 50-50 for who's going to like this game and who's going to maybe just leave this one on the shelf, especially at that $20 price range.
Oh, I think that's very fair. This is quite a small scope kind of sitting here, a small excursion into an interesting story, and I really agree with you. I think this has to be played co-op. That's really where it leans its experience to. You're going to have moments that are cute. If you're playing this with a significant other, I think that's probably your best choice. And it's going to have a lot of those moments where you kind of figure things out together and move on, and I think it's really fun for that. And all the way through the experience, you're met with this beautiful art texture, and sometimes they show it off a little more than others, but just the same with the audio. The audio will cue in, and suddenly you're having an emotional moment as you're moving these characters around, and I think that's what it's all about. Like you say, though, you have to balance this with, it is quite a small game. It is not very expensive, so don't get too much of your expectations up, really. But I think a lot of people will enjoy this. I'm stuck somewhere in the middle here. I think I'm there with a 5 out of 10. This is going to appeal to a lot of people, but if you have high expectations, you might be disappointed.
Yeah, you know what? I can agree with you there, Scott. I think Gearbox Productions did a good job at, like I said earlier, just presenting this game and kind of introducing you to these two characters in a kind of a unique way that we don't always get to experience, especially in the video game realm. So if I've got to score this one, man, I'm going to be up just a bit higher. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 because I do think there's enough polish here with this game that, you know, Gearbox did a good job and people are going to notice that. And like you said, I think there's going to be more people here wanting to play this game than not. So if you got to check out a good one, check out Blanc on the Nintendo Switch.